As you watch them, they're a team that just makes very few mistakes.
They force the opposition to make a lot of mistakes, is what I see through their work ethic, their compete, their consistency, very determined. They know their identity and they play to it every night. So you can prepare for it, but you're also preparing for a real challenge.
Don, you guys, through all the talk of offense, have really cut down the shots against the last 5 games and opponents' chances. And some of it is you just had the puck a lot. But what do you think has happened with the defensive effort on this club, even with the injuries on the back end?
Yeah, it's hard to think of that. You're almost complimenting how we played the last few games, but it's the last 3 games, and there's so many left and so much more growth room that we need. I really feel that, the last few games we've got some teams that haven't played well as well, and I think that's a factor to help us limit some shots. So, and I do know that teams are, certainly this trip we're playing some teams that are hitting on all cylinders, specifically tonight. So it's so unique. It's so different than any of the last games we played. And I feel each game moving forward, at least for the next 10 or 12, is almost a unique game, as all teams are fighting to get in some sort of rhythm, early season, through the early season, I should say. So it's hard to draw any correlation from game to game, or what we've been doing and the results that may follow, or statistics that may follow. It's just sometimes you catch guys on different nights. It seems like each game is a little different each night, especially this time of the year.
And there's been a lot of rest in October, but now you're in a weekend here where Carolina's on a back-to-back. You're getting them. You're going to be on the back-to-back tomorrow. Tampa's going to get you, and that's kind of more of the normal grind of the season a lot of the time.
It is, and it's a grind where players are either going to start to hit their rhythm. I mean, they're going to, you play that first back-to-back. The guys actually conditioning-wise start getting in, closer to that mid-season NHL shape, just grinding through it. When fatigue needs to be replaced with efficiency. Sometimes efficiency is not replaced when you're not fatigued. You just keep skating and you overskate, and you play too aggressive. So it's pretty interesting to watch. Again, another start to an NHL season. How erratic things are, how hard it is to predict things. There was always a lot of talk about whoever's in the playoffs in Thanksgiving, or however that lays out. To me, it's more of, you don't even know what anybody looks like until around Thanksgiving, and then look at that point and see who's hitting, and those are probably the teams that have found their identity first and fit that well within the context of the season. And we're like every other team, just still building quite a bit.
Are these the games you talked about before the Florida game, how you really look forward to playing teams like that? Next week, you're going to play the top 3 teams in the National Hockey League, Boston, Vegas, and Carolina tonight. And I'm assuming you probably aren't going to back off that. You really enjoy these games and look forward to them, don't you?
I do. It's so important for us to play top teams and beyond top teams. Just games where you're challenged greatly by the opposition. And tonight, by the environment, is another one. The crowd, the energy that's in buildings. When you're the road team, the energy against you, I should say. Those are stimulus that, when you feel you have a capable but yet experienced team, are huge growth opportunities. And we've seen the development. I said it after last night's or the other night's game. We have guys executing to a higher proficiency under pressure than we did a season ago. And that's just going to keep going, because we know the ceiling of some of our players. They're talented, but they haven't been there enough. And so the more reps they can get in these environments, the more they're getting closer to realizing that, the poise will come, the confidence to score will come. And we're seeing that in growth in lots of guys. Let's face it, it's the first time Tage Thompson has been a 38 goal scorer. And it's, he's starting to realize that he can do it again, and there's more there potentially, and those are real. Those don't happen without games like tonight and a road trip like this ahead. That stimulus is huge for us.
It was a year ago tonight. We were in Seattle. Now it can be told what happened for you that morning, the night before. I assume Kevin called you the night before, said the trade was going down.
Yeah, somewhere late night. I know it was dark out, and I couldn't tell the assistants So I told them to just watch Twitter. You probably like what's going to happen. And it didn't come out on Twitter, so it drove them nuts because I didn't give them information. I couldn't. Kevin said just, hey, it's not, So they joke around about it now. But yeah, it's hard to imagine that that's a year ago. It just seems like we're just so far beyond that. And when you reflect on it now, what a great trade. I don't know that there's many trades that are use it to the irony of this term, but a healthy trade where it actually is perfect for both teams. I mean, they desperately needed a centerman. They had excess talent on the wings. So we pick up some serious talent, obviously, in Alex Tuck. And they're making a trade willing to give up more than maybe they get because they think it's going to, well, it does. It increases their chance of winning a Stanley Cup because they needed the centerman. So we end up obviously getting more than just Alex. And with Krebs, he's been outstanding. And they add to us. And then we end up with Aslan in the draft, who, obviously we like him very well, too. So really, it's nice to see that happen for both sides to leave it. I think they're very comfortable. I can't speak for them, but it's a great situation for us. I know that.
With Krebs, you've had him a year now. You've seen so much growth in him. I mean, talk about, if you would, the amount of growth you've seen and what you've seen him in that year.
Well, his commitment to growth is awesome, combined with his talent. Those two things are just so key. They get you excited, and then you still have to think about potential, because it just dominates. Anytime you think of him, it's like, oh my gosh, is he going to be good? Mm-hmm. And the caveat is, actually, he's actually pretty good right now. But you just see how much better he's going to be, back to this trip through experiences like this. And he's finding his way within our lineup. He's had to shift around. He's been at a center spot. Last year we used him in second line, third line centers through injuries. Now we're healthier there, so he's bumped down, and that gives him a little breathing room too, as he finds his game and elevates his game, and it's great to have him for those reasons.